السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إلهي أنت ربي وأنا العبد، وأنت الخالق وأنا المخلوق، وأنت المالك وأنا المملوك، وأنت الرزاق وأنا المرزوق، وأنت الغني وأنا الفقير، وأنت العزيز وأنا الذليل، وأنت المذنب وأنت الغفور وأنا المذنب، وأنت المجيب وأنا الداعي، وأنت الشافي وأنا المريض. فاغفر لنا وارحمنا واشف أمراضنا واشف أمراض قلوبنا وأبداننا، آمين. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم، والحمد لله رب العالمين. We studied the first 3 verses last week. We will, inshallah, God willing, start from the 4th. First says, Inna sa'yakum lashatta. Your striving is to diverse ends. Now, first of all, we have to understand the connection between this verse and the previous verses. If you remember, the previous verses were giving us the contrasts. Yeah, night and day.
Male and female.
Sorry?
Male and female. Talking about the contrast.
Male and female contrasts. And then, of course, we have to pay attention to this contrast, or the creation in contrast. We said fundamentally, it is drawing our attention that everything is apparently in contrast with each other, but at the same time, we would remember the word. Complementary. So if the things happen to be by themselves, or by chance, or anything, the creator of those things is anything other than a conscious, deliberate arrangement by a conscious being, the contrast should not exist, cannot exist. Contrast may exist, but in a chaotic way, not in a complementary way. It is impossible. The things will be opposite to each other, but at the same time completing each other. Is there anything in the world, according to the Quranic declaration, there is nothing in the world which doesn't have its counterpart, opposite. Everything is created in twins, zawjain, everything. Well, I mean, as far as we hear from the experts of physics, neutron, electrons, whatever they call it, they are loaded with, charged with opposite powers, but at the end, what happens? Balance. Right? At the very core of the creation, actually. I don't know if they have found something at the particle level. Of course, they are all theoretical. Even the atom is theoretical. They are sure that the theory works, because when they apply in the practical material, it really practically happens. So they are not surprised according to their calculations. Otherwise, no one could see atoms But however, the microscope is powerful. You cannot see atoms, let alone the particles. They are all mathematical calculations, but they represent the reality of the creation. At that level, whether they found it or not, I don't know. None of our business whether they find or not. But we know that it is in the essence of creation that everything has its counterpart, opposite, but complementary. Nothing contradicts each other. Yeah? Nothing disseminates the other opposite. No. Complementary. Everything, if you look at it at a very simple level, here are the plants, here are the animals, they eat the plants. See what I mean? At the very simple level. But of course, people are free to interpret. They say animals are exploiting the plants, they are eating them. Some animals are really eating the other animals, the big fish eats the small fish, for example. That's the perspective that the human beings have. They see that every human being is a wolf of another human being because there is an interest conflict. But the Quran says, creation says, everything in contradiction, not contradiction, everything is has its counterpart, but each counterpart is created in the help of its counter. This is what I mean. Somebody may express it in a better way. Do you see what I mean? Sorry?
Interdependent.
They are interdependent, but yeah, that's correct. For example,
Can you clarify what you mean by in help of the other part?
Yeah.
What do you mean by
but although they are, let's say, positive power, negative power, but in order to survive, the positive power needs the negative power needs the positive power. So men needs the women, that are very practical. Women needs the men.
created with dependency on its counterpart?
Yeah, but they complement each other, they support each other. Although they have opposite, not necessarily men and women, but in the creation. Quran also says clearly that we are sending everything to aid its counterpart. That's the idea. There is no such verbally expressing verse in the Quran. This way, but idea is there. We created everything in pairs to complement, to help each other. So the name of God, Mu'een. When we say Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in, we all worship you and we all seek your aid. Only your aid. Mu'een, the Mu'een manifests itself in this helper. They say helper. Coming to the aid of another needy one, manifests everywhere in the creation because of this opposite nature of the beings. They support each other. They come to the aid of its counterpart, both of them. Let's say A and B are counterparts. A is created in order to aid the B. B is created in order to aid the A. That's how the balance of the universe has been established. Perfectly working, as it is. For the purpose of its existence, of course. Its existence, the purpose of its existence is fundamentally what? Transient. Yeah? So they help each other to go through this period of transience in this world. Universe comes into existence and is going to go into its source of existence. It must disappear as it is like this. The construction of this universe is established in such a way that it points to its counterpart. What is the counterpart of this universe? This is transient, permanent. So you can understand that the one who established this world on this principle, by establishing this world on a nature of transience, points to the existence of the permanent. There's no exception in the world that things don't have their opposites complementary. So this universe is then a complement, if you like, or introduction to the eternal world, permanent world. We understand that. So this is the picture of the reality out there in the universe. So it comes here, the last verse in the slide says, look, you have free will, you do something, but you strive is to diverse ends. You are also choosing from this to this, making decisions. Yeah. So while you are making this decision in this way, I may make another decision in another way. What happens now? The social structure, human endeavor, has many opportunities. We are not robots. We are free. Many opportunities to make decision between right and wrong. Yeah, so many opportunities at every moment. So we are struggling for diverse ends. We are free, but we are not robots. We have to understand. Everybody has its own aim. Yeah, I have to reach this. We have to reach this. Not only at the end of your life, I'm going to do something. 10 years later, I will be doing this. Every moment, struggling, striving to a diverse end. It means different from yours. You are acting in a different way than mine. So the social structure of the human society never gets in a harmonious, monotonous life. You have to struggle. You cannot make two people equal to each other. They have to act freely, so as a result. But at the end, what happens? The same purpose of existence, the one purpose of existence is realized. What is that? The purpose of existence, we always talk about it. To get to know the Creator according to your capacity from a different perspective, or from a different perspective from everybody. You get in contact with your Creator from one manifestation of name. Another person gets in contact with Creator with another person, the name of the Creator. Again, it is not clear in my. So God is known to humanity with his own names. Although I don't know God with his own qualities. But I know two qualities of God, letting those qualities manifest itself in human life. You know other qualities of God, letting those qualities of God manifested in human life. Altogether, what comes out? All the names of God is manifested in the world, in the society, at the societal level. So what we are doing here, not as a person. Potentially, one person is able to manifest all the names of God, but potentially. In practice, all of us, the qualities of God manifest together. I think in this sense, whole human race among the believers who act in the name of God, these are the people who represent God, qualities of God on earth. Caliph is like this. Potentially, everybody's a caliph. Potentially. Yeah, but human beings on earth. The description of the Quran is, I'm going to create a caliph, a representative or successor of God on earth. It means everybody together, the believers together, represents God's qualities on earth altogether. Potentially, everybody can. One person is enough. But potentially, yeah. You cannot ask yourself how much we are really realizing our potentialities and developing them into practical, into bringing them into practical life. Not really much at all, but altogether, inshallah. So there is a wisdom in the struggle of human beings to diverse ends, because altogether we will represent human race will represent God's authority on earth. It means God's qualities will be manifesting on earth, represented by human beings all together. So, I mean, we discussed this. The night is if we apply the word, this vocabulary of night and day, it is our gloomy side and bright and happy side. So when we don't act as a representative of the names of God, we are in darkness. And when we let the names of God manifest in our actions, in our understandings, in our consciousness, we are in light. So these are, in an interpretation, people talk about them. It altogether makes, how do you say, it looks like chaotic. When you look at the universe at the level of, at atomic level or particle level, it looks like chaotic. But at the end, what comes out? Order. Yeah.
So earlier we mentioned that two different things have been made complementary. Two contradictory things have been made complementary to each other. While that is how we observe, I guess, the universe and take that as an evidence, I think it's still fair to challenge or perhaps try to reason as to why that is absolutely necessary. For example, would I not be able to acknowledge a happy day without having a sad day?
No, because if a thing, any object, does not have its opposite, we cannot acknowledge its existence. Everything is acknowledged or known to human mind, how we are created actually with this ability. Throughout it is opposites. That's why the universe is wonderful, because everything is created with its opposites. so that we understand their existence. But a typical example at the level of primary school teachings, they say if there was no darkness, we would never know that light exists. Typical example. So that's why it is necessary. The opposite is necessary. In order to acknowledge it is very important, this word seems to be simple, but we should never forget, acknowledge the existence of the object itself. I mean, theoretically, it is easy to understand. For example, if there is nothing else, only one, let's say, pencil here, nothing else related to it, I wouldn't acknowledge the existence of the pen. But practically, there is no example of it. That's why our mind is not used to thinking of this matter in an abstract sense. Because we say, well, the pen is here, but there is nothing behind, nothing on sides, nothing between me and him, nothing else. I wouldn't acknowledge the existence of it. In relation to others that I described this as a pen. So it is interesting, the existence would not be perceived, acknowledged, if the things were without any opposites. That's how the creation is. But we cannot say that does the creator or was the creator to create the world, or to, how do you say, did he have to create the world in this way? That has nothing to do with us. What we are observing here, the creation is really perfectly arranged, and this is the condition. That's why I shouldn't get angry with the opposites. Why? For example, speaking practically, if there was no possibility of denying the truth, it's totally abstract notion, denying the truth, we wouldn't be able to acknowledge that the truth exists. It is difficult to, but we have to think about it.
Is that a excuse me, is that a thermostat? I think it's a little chilly there. Is it a little chilly there? Maybe I can.
If you can.
I could feel
this one.
Oh boy.
People tried and couldn't do anything. But if you are expert on it.
No.
Okay, try.
So I know that this is now stepping into the world of speculation, because we're no longer basing it off of our evidence in this reality. But if there was nothing but the pencil, what are you confirming then? You are confirming something. You might not call it a pencil.
But using the language that I developed right now, after using the opposites.
If there was no opposite, what are you confirming then?
Nothing.
But how?
Nothing.
Okay.
Now, we wouldn't be able to realize, did you do?
I don't know what feeling.
No. We wouldn't be able to understand that such a thing exists. So what we are doing, since we know the pencil here, in the world of opposites, now we are theoretically thinking in an abstract sense that if there was nothing, I wouldn't be able to acknowledge the existence of anything. So that's why up to this point we can go. If there was no universe, we would never be able to acknowledge the Creator and God, that such a thing exists. Yeah, that's where we have to reflect on it. So things to the reality of the universe that we are able to understand its creator. That's opposites again. That's the nature, or if you like, that is the yeast of the existence that we are experiencing in this world. So we shouldn't get angry with somebody's tyrant. He's a tyrant, dictator. But we don't like it, but its existence is necessary for us. Yeah? But I don't want to be a tyrant. I don't want anybody to be a tyrant, because after experiencing the existence of tyrant at the background or in opposition to the just ruler or just person, now I see that his existence is for nothing. Helps me to acknowledge the just person, just action. So if there was no possibility to commit sinning, I would never be able to acknowledge what the obedience means for me. I would never. So most of the time, sinning means not necessarily that I am drinking alcohol. It is a very simple way of understanding it. Being in negligence of the Creator, connecting my relationship with the things as they are, as if they exist by themselves. So this is how we live, how I live. I shouldn't include you in it. Independent of their Creator, we interact with the things. Just we will come to the discussion or read a book which points that this attitude is wrong, then that, yeah, it is wrong. Yeah, I know. But in our practical life, it doesn't happen always. So I understand the value of confirming the truth, reality. So I understand the existence of the truth. Yeah. So we should reject injustice, use our free will to go against it, but we should never criticize the creator of injustice actions. That's what we need. So don't get angry with God why he allows some people to declare war and kill others. No, don't criticize him. Criticize the people. But at the same time, know that I need it in order to appreciate the peace, in order to appreciate, to be on the right side, not to support the wrong and mistakes. That's what we need, right?
Do I need a constant reminder? Or
Yeah.
can I be made abreast of that, know that it exists, keep it in my, and kind of use that as a gauge? Do I always need the foot on my head?
If you don't have the constant reminder, let's see if you can remember it. I don't think so. I don't. So we need constant reminder. That's why we are expected to pray 5 times a day. It must constantly go. Although we are created to be able to live in the presence of God, always. But what do? We don't. I don't. So what God says, okay, practically you should remind yourself 5 times a day at least.
That's a little different from being reminded by a tyrant, to remind the self. In other words, to be aware.
Yeah, but awareness in the form of knowledge is not enough, because we are forgetful. Yeah, we are forgetful. In the Quranic expression or explanation, what was the reason for Adam, the Quran explains, to disobey God's command that don't do one thing? million things you can do, but one thing you shouldn't. And what he said in the narration of the Quran, I forgot. That's human nature. I forgot. Sorry. I'm sorry, I forgot. So God is also advising us to be in contact with him. It means to supplicate to him, saying that, please, God, forgive me for what I have forgotten. Because we forget. No one can say that, no, I never forget. So I don't have to say, رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا. In nesina. Nesina means when we forget. When we forget, or for what we have forgotten, don't take us into account. Forgive us, it means. And we have, although we remember, we still do make mistakes. أو أخطأنا. Or if we make any mistake. So forgetfulness of the human nature comes first. So it is a human, it is how we are created. We forget. So constant reminding is not only an intellectual knowledge. It needs, definitely, if someone doesn't understand or comprehend the fact that he has to live in the presence of God, how can he practice it at all? It's impossible. It doesn't occur. It doesn't happen in his understanding. But understanding the notion is essential, but not sufficient. We need constant reminder, which is, instead of talking about, I don't know, whether talking about the political subjects that no one asks us, it's not our concerns, really, practically, talking about, for example, coming that I have a hectic day today. Something went wrong, and then another thing went wrong. But we have to remind each other that, are you aware that you are expected to be living in the presence of God? Have you remembered God? Have you remembered or the qualities of God? Have you remembered that God is really taking care of you? God is treating you with his mercy. Have you aware of all the reminders must have to do with our connection with God? Because most of the people believe in God, but believing in God alone doesn't mean much. So we have to remember, in every aspect of the manifestations of God's names, whatever it is, for example, you remember something. Did you have in mind that this power of remembrance is a present from God, demonstrating that God never forgets anything? So,
another interpretation that came to my mind as I was reading this was also of the dynamic nature that it is being highlighted as, between day and night. As day and night progresses, it's a very subtle, very precise moment in which something becomes a day and something becomes a night. And let's say if you wake up at 4 or 3 in the morning, it's a very precise sort of relationship that they have. And what enlightens me with that is that it's a very back and forth, what day and night highlights for me is a constant back and forth, a conversation that creation has within itself, or I as a created being am having with any other created being. My experience of day, my experience of night, my experience of female, in my experience of the opposite, is a constant conversation that I'm having with the other. So for me, the main message that I got from especially the first two verses, which probably was that it's a conversation that is dynamic, within which even as the day brightens, in which I get to know myself and get to know my existence, is a constant process in which I'm getting to know myself.
Yeah, you cannot get out of it.
Right.
Because the existence of night makes you realize the existence of day. Existence of day helps you realize the existence of night.
Mm-hmm.
So even you say it's day now, well, let's be realistic, it is night now. It doesn't mean that I have no notion of light or daylight because I'm not experiencing it. No. The existence of the night reminds you the existence of the day. So you cannot really get out of the reminders in the creation. That's why it is beautiful that the universe is constructed as far as our human qualities or capacity is concerned. The universe is constructed in a way that at every moment, you realize the existence of almost everything. This is interesting. This is very beautiful. The creation is really, he said, only God, the absolute being, can establish such an order of this universe. Everything is so meaningful. Okay?
Backtracking a little bit. When we said, Adam apologized for forgetting, right?
Okay. Sorry, he said, yeah, it's interesting. I really like that. I forgot. Come on, you have only one commandment. Don't approach this one. If you forget that one, what am I going to do? Okay.
Okay, so then he is not necessarily apologizing, or I'm not apologizing for the way that I have been created, right? Because I am created in a way where I have a tendency to forget. So when I forget, I'm not apologizing because of my tendency to forget, but
because of my nature, the way I am created.
To forget.
Yeah.
But rather because I have used my willpower to let that fitra take place.
Yeah, to overcome it, to make it less. Make it less. That's why we need reminder.
Because I have the potentiality to never forget. I have the potentiality to always be aware. But
in both extremes,
right.
Yeah, 0, 100, yeah.
And because of that potentiality, I am held responsible.
Yeah, so we are trying to get towards away from 0 towards 100, if you like. That's why life is a journey. Life doesn't have a destination. I mean, destination, it means we cannot, destination in this world is the death. But we cannot come to the destination saying that, okay, I arrived at the last point. That's my last station. We cannot say this. We have to travel. This is journey never ends.
So my other question related to this is, can we have a nature, a fitra, for two opposite things? Because in this case, I am created in a way where I keep forgetting.
Yes.
My nature.
At the same time.
But at the same time,
remember,
my nature necessitates that I should be in a state of awareness. So I feel
or
like
remembrance.
Remembrance. So I feel like I'm being pulled by both sides. So it almost seems contradictory to say that I have a nature for both things at the same time.
But it is complementary, giving us the opportunity for us to decide not to forget, but to remember. Yes, not to forget, but to remember. The Quran is beautiful, describing itself as the reminder. I am the reminder. مذكر. The prophets they also describe it in the Quran that you are just a reminder.
So it's almost like saying that the ability to forget is not really a thing, but not using the ability to remember results in forgetting.
Yeah, that's our responsibility. Try to challenge the ability of forgetting. So remembering. That's why we should remind each other. The famous story that everybody knows, I am sure, the companions of the Prophet, when they used to come to each other, they used to advise each other, remind each other to be patient and to follow the truth. Yeah, it means the haqq. It means what the true nature of this creation is, what the true nature of this creation points to what, just to remind each other this. Yeah, for example, did you have your dinner? Example, say yes. Even you say like example. But no, but who had the dinner? Who had his dinner? You had. Did you have your dinner? Yeah. Did you remember that this was a pure benevolence of the Creator, pure mercy to you, and He is introducing to you? Just remind each other. Of course, we cannot say that, did you have the dinner? Did you remember this? But we say, I had a dinner today, and I felt that my God is really taking care of me. I'm very comfortable in my existence. Comfortable. So it means, if you have the dinner, did you have this attitude? Reminding each other. Yeah. Or another important matter, the Prophet ﷺ rejected or prohibited people to mention negative things. Yeah. For example, let's say I missed noon prayer. Don't say I missed noon prayer. If I say I missed noon prayer, you say I said afternoon prayer. The other one says I missed morning prayer today. It becomes justifiable. Everybody misses, so I can miss also. Do you see what I mean? So that is the psychology. The materialist, if this word is not enough, of course, it explains everything, but it's not. Now, ideological secularism and this attitude in psychology, what do they say? Don't be ashamed of shortcomings, your mistakes. Yeah? Say it as you did. Just release yourself from the burden of hiding your reality. What happens now? Everything becomes legitimate, acceptable. Do you understand? That's why if you want to, for example, do something, do it. You feel free. What does it mean? Not stealing somebody's property, for example. Let's say, I don't want to go into details in the subject. This is the psychology. Don't try to hide it. When you hide it, they say it looks legitimate. When it is a burden in you. You want to release yourself from it. Rather than asking for forgiveness to God, what they do, confess it, say it to everybody. I am like this. So you will be free. But this is the way of legitimizing the negative things. That the Prophet says, never mentioned your shortcomings, your mistakes to anyone. Now, I don't remember any hadith in this way, but this is the hadith. This is narration from the hadith, means really what the Prophet advised the people, not to mention negative things. For example, if you dreamt of a very nightmare, but The Prophet didn't let you tell your dream. Who had a good dream last night? For example, do you understand? Bad dreams, stop it. Come on. This is from Shaitan, he says. That is the way of prophetic teaching. You know, to the Bedouins, you know, they only attribute it to someone else there, Satan, and it is from him. Well, you have nothing to do with it. But it is, in the language of the Quran, represented by Satan all negative activities. Yeah? All negative things are represented by Satan, whispered by Satan. So it is just a representation. But we don't have time, and it is not our subject. We are not talking about what the nature of Satan is different, but this is the representation of it. So it is from Satan. Why do you mention something that not inspired, whispered by Satan to people? It's not worth it. But tell something good. Dreams. For example, I remember in hadith about this. That's why I related to the prophetic tradition. But Imam Ali advises people that even if, but it looks hypocrite, but it's not. It is an encouragement. Even if you do not practice it, advise people with the good. Yeah? Even if you don't practice it, you don't act accordingly, advise people to do good. It looks, but if I don't pray, how can I say people that, oh, it's better to pray? Yes, that's your idea. That's your idea, that's your understanding. But personally, you are weak in your personality. You don't pray. But you know that as a human being, you realize that praying is a good action. So advise people to pray. Don't say, I don't pray. Say, we should pray. That's what you're understanding. So express your understanding. This doesn't have to be supported by your action. Do you see what I mean? There is somebody else before. Yeah, and then you. Yeah.
Just a question about what you said about like negative things. Sometimes I was just thinking that, let's say if you get a bad dream, for example.
So?
Could it be a warning from God also?
Bad dream.
Yeah, like, I'm just thinking, is it always like Satan, or it would be warning from God also? Like, because bad things also happen sometimes.
So if you get a bad dream, is it always from Satan, or could it?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, because we know that, but we have to understand that the prophet is speaking within his own conditions, the atmosphere. So people don't understand. We know that the old dreams are really connected to what? Our own subconscious accumulated experiences, and they reflect. But it doesn't mean that it is not created by God. It's created by someone. No, it is how God creates. That is the system. That is the order of the creation. But of course, what we have to do, all the negative things are represented by Satan. Yeah? So it is there. Because we have been discussing this since the beginning of the class today, everything is created with its opposites. So satanic whisperings and angelic inspirations. So pay attention to the angelic inspirations rather than to satanic whisperings. Because we are in the middle. We are always exposed to both sides at the same time. That's why we have to choose. We have to be conscious of our responsibility to make decision at every moment. Your turn.
Just about how you were saying that you can, the one Imam says you can advise even if you don't practice it. I thought that was supposed to be, I don't know the exact hadith, but wasn't there one about like, someone dragging their intestines in Jahannam because they would
Just a
advise
minute.
them.
Yeah. Let me understand your language.
So she was referring to a different hadith, saying that she's trying to recollect a hadith about someone dragging their intestines to Jahannam.
It's all like dragging around the organs in China because they were the people who.
So okay, something bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, something bad because they advised people to do things that they didn't do themselves. So I thought it was a negative thing to advise people to do things that you didn't do yourself.
It doesn't mean that, for example, think about it. Look, you know that you have to pray. You believe that. Okay. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't advise people to pray. Because if you believe that you should pray, that share your idea with others. We should pray. But if you say that, look, do what I am doing, I never miss prayer. You shouldn't as well. It is possible. It's a lie. But I missed. You see what I mean? Pretending to be, it is a sign of hypocrisy. Pretending to be is different from sharing what should be done. For example, let's say I'm a student, I didn't prepare myself for the test, right? And you are a student also, and I speak to you, I didn't prepare myself for the test. I say, are you ready for the test? You say, no, I think you'd better be ready. Is it wrong? But I am not ready, but it's my fault. It doesn't mean that I should deny the reality in my relationship with you, because I believe that I should have prepared myself for the test. Sharing it. So this attitude is very common among the people. They encourage people to do the things for themselves so that they will advise the others. But it is not always possible. Most of the time it is not possible. What I do, if it was really so, I would never tell you anything here. Because I say we have to train ourselves to be in the presence of God. Myself, I don't. Yeah, I don't. Myself. So I said, okay, stop. Tell nothing. It means this paves the path to perfectionism. And no one is perfect. It is impossible. We shouldn't confuse. Telling a lie is different from what ideally you are aware or you believe that it should be done. Yes.
Is it fair to say that the advice of praying and the action of praying are separate things and should be evaluated each on their own merits? So look at the advice and evaluate, is that a truthful, genuine piece of advice? And it may or may not be. And you look at the prayer and evaluate it on its own merits as well. And the two aren't connected. They're two separate actions, two separate creations. One is not accountable to the other. Is that a fair way to think about it?
Of course. That's a good description. Yeah.
And also hypocrisy is of two types. Like one is like telling somebody to do something which you think is the right thing and you are not doing it. For example, again about prayers. Like I miss a prayer. But I think the one that she was mentioning is the other type of hypocrisy where you know something is very good for you, but you advise people against it. Like let's say you know that sending your own kids to a good school is a very good thing, but you tell your neighbors or somebody else not to educate your kids. Like knowing very well that that's going to hurt them. You understand there are like two types of hypocrisy.
For example, if I mention to you that, I insulted my neighbor today on a wrong base. And another person says, yeah, well, I do the same thing. The other person says, I do the same thing. Although it looks like realistic. But what happens? The other person says, oh, everybody is doing the same thing. So it is normal for me to do. That is a very, very cynical principle which is prevalent among the modern psychology. Express yourself. Don't be ashamed of yourself. Yeah. If you are ashamed of something, don't try to hide it. Just be proud of it. This is what I mean. This attitude broke or destroyed the sense of chastity. If you want to, I will give you a clear example. You are with your boyfriend, girlfriend, right? And in the subway, you felt that I want to kiss my boyfriend, girlfriend. Do it. Don't hide it. Why are you ashamed of it? That's what you want. Be yourself. Look at this device. You know what happened now? Look at the society. Okay.
Well, can I debate a point which is still tied to the verse that we're looking at? So I guess when it says, surely your striving is to diverse ends.
Yeah.
What I'm not reading from this, or what I'm not extracting from this, is that any of these ends are negative. So they're just so going back to the example that you gave, unless you take pride in doing or choosing an action which is perceived to be negative, that's the only time where it has a negative connotation to it. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think, again, like if the verse is saying, consider the night, and the day, according to the hadith that was mentioned earlier, like if we were never to mention the negative, mm-hmm. Perhaps why even refer to the night? So shouldn't, in that instance, yes, while it might not be the best thing to share, like, oh, I had a bad dream, but even that bad dream, again, is not contradictory, but like is in correlation to the good dream, draws my attention towards it and says, you know what, like, why did this person have a bad dream? Or if you said, I was rude to my neighbor, I'm like, what kind of a person is this? Why would one person be rude to the neighbor? So it is dependent on my perception.
But encouraging the good. Encouraging
the good, yes, but I don't think you should limit the bad as long as you're not taking pride in it, So to modern day psychology, if we're saying express how you feel, no matter what it is, don't take pride in it. Don't be like, yeah, I killed someone today. Like, I'm happy. Don't do that part. But
we do that.
You say I killed someone today and I feel guilty. So,
saying the killing is bad.
Yeah. So like, exactly my point. So like, again, like be conscious of how you feel, irrespective of whether or not you express it. It's not in the expression that it holds negative.
I don't know. This is not what's a good point. It is not our subject, but it's very practical. If I say, we use Qasim's name. Qasim, be careful, you will break it. Yeah? Look at this. Very innocent. I'm warning him, but I'm mentioning the negative. What happens? I wait for Qasim to break it, so that, didn't I tell you? It means in my heart, I pray to be right, to prove right. That's my hidden prayer. It becomes my hidden prayer. For example, you drive in New York, be careful, you may have accident. No, be careful not to have an accident, for example. But be careful, don't go speed limits, something that beyond speed limits. And what happens in me? I won't. Let's see. If he has an accident, I will say, didn't I remind you? Didn't I tell you? It means the heart, human heart, hidden prayer, wish occurs in myself, in my being, to be on the right side. Yeah? So always say, be careful, don't say, be careful, Everybody knows that he has to be careful. Why do you say that you may have an accident? May Allah be with you. You know, typical. Allah will protect you. Don't worry. Give confidence. Positive.
Hopeful language. Right?
Sorry?
Hopeful language.
Hopeful?
Hopeful language.
Yeah. But hopeful is positive. Yeah, in the same positive language. So if I, for example, if I am told that, inshallah, I will have a safe journey by my friend on the way, what I do, inshallah, this friend's prayer will be real. It will come to reality, and I won't have any accident or any bad experience. But with this psychology, I am hopeful. You see what I mean? If someone keeps telling me that you are going to have an accident, you are going to have an accident, but you are going to hit the person next to you, something like that, I panic. You see what I mean? I panic. I cannot develop my confidence in me. It's very, this is very practical to mention the positive always. And also mentioning the positive reminds you, your creator, to be the merciful one, not to be the kahar, the one who treats the people who deserve to be treated in a way with the wrath of God. It means really rejection. So reminds you the good things that we will come, inshallah. We can go one, at least some verses here. The verse 5. We don't hear your voice.
فأما من أعطى واتقى.
Yeah. فأما من أعطى واتقى. Yep. The translation, somebody, let's go to our. Anybody?
As for him who gives in charity and is conscious of God.
Yeah. So to give, what we see the combination here? Giving
Consciousness of God.
and consciousness of God. So it means they go hand in hand. Or it's an advice. While you are giving, you should have consciousness of God. What does it mean in practical terms? I think you can explain this. Somebody help me.
As you're giving, it's not so much you're doing it, it's you're giving. God is giving through you. That it's not me.
No, okay. One step ahead. God has given this to you, but one step ahead, continue.
God is giving it to him through me.
Yeah. But explain it. That's one step. That's good. But there is one further step.
I'm performing the action in the name of the one who's creating this event.
It means in the name of the one.
Is it?
Who created me with the need to give.
Sorry?
Who created me with the need to give.
To give. That's second stage. Third stage, the one. Would you like to? Would anybody make a comment on the third stage now? This is the first stage. I gave, and this is God. Yeah, it means this is God's property. It's not my property, anyways. The second stage, the sense of giving, is created in me by the one who created me with the sense of giving. Third stage is
giving is the quality of my creator, and so this is an opportunity for me to understand that my creator is the giver.
The third stage. Now, while you are giving, the result, what the result is to understand who God is. But with this consciousness, that's why we are asked to give. We are asked to forgive. Because only through these stages that we are expected to understand who God is. That's why we are given all this ability in order to, all human abilities are given to us in order to understand, realize who God is, who my creator is. That's why the purpose of existence is to know who your creator is. That's so simple. But in practical terms, we have to educate ourselves. So giving and God consciousness is really interrelated. And God consciousness, for example, without practicing giving, with no expectations in return, can you have the God consciousness in this respect? No. You say God is the creator, God is the creator without really bringing it into your practical life. He's an alien being. Alien. You understand alien? I don't know, something. But when you practice it, through the practice, you understand who God is. When you say God, you understand who God is. While you are giving, it is an opportunity for you to understand who God is. Of course, most of the people give to charity in order to help the needy. Oh, it doesn't bring you much. It doesn't add anything to your humanity. But in comparison, it is better to give a person who gives than the person who doesn't give. Because by giving is the first step. Now, it is very interesting. In the process of the teachings of the Quran really, in its early revelations, did not emphasize on God. What is the first thing? First thing, take care of the orphan and take pity on the needy ones. Don't transgress. Don't be proud of your property. Don't assign any special status in the society for yourself. Yeah, it is very important. Now, let me remember the sequences of the verses now. When I try to remember, it doesn't count. عقبة وما أدراك ما العقبة وما أدراك ما العقبة. This difficult to climb the mountain or any hill or something difficult. What is Aqaba? What is this difficult to climb, to go up and up and up? Fikku Raqaba. Just emancipate or free the slaves. The Quran introduces the first. فك رقبة أو إطعام في يوم ذي مسغبة. The giving people when they are in a desperate, destitute situation. Giving them when they are really in need of it. يتيما ذا مسغبة. So this orphans who have no means, no protector, so taking care of their need. أو مسكين ذا متربة. So those people, destitute, miskin. How do you translate miskin? Let's make it simple, yes. Very needy, but miskin. Not because he is in the drug field, drug addiction, but really needy for legitimate reasons. مسكين ذا متربة ثم كان من الذين آمنوا. after that, those people, from among those people, who will believe? وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْمَرْحَمَةِ. This is the early revelations of the Quran. We generalized it, saying that early revelations of the Quran first primarily emphasizes on the transience of this world. Nothing can sustain itself. Now understand, you cannot sustain yourself either. You are under the control of somebody else, something else. Think about it. But in the social context, it doesn't say, the first revelations of the Quran doesn't say they pray, they take care of the orphans. Because it is preparing the human notions, human emotions, that, look, I shouldn't be selfish, I should take care of others, I shouldn't oppress people, yeah? So that it prepares the human psychology to accept that they are created, they themselves are in need of everything, they are being taken care of. The ground is prepared. And then believe in God and submit yourself to God. And then, do you understand? So this is how we are advised to go through. First, for example, on many occasions, the Prophet reminded people that if you don't treat people in a merciful way, you wouldn't be treated with mercy by your God. It means you have to experience how to act in a merciful way, so that you will understand, after that you will understand that your Creator is merciful, going through the stages. If you are not, if you don't treat your friends, your people around you with mercy, would you ever be able to understand that God is merciful? No way. Do you understand? This practical side is very important. That's why the Quran says, first give, and then you can be, as if you can understand this. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى. It means you can understand this. If you give freely to others, share, not only property, by the way, everything. But the Prophet says, even smiling at a person is a charity. It's ata. So if you give something, only then you can be conscious of that. This is what I mean? You can understand this verse in this way. Otherwise, these are not two independent phenomena.
So the action is a prerequisite, would you say?
Yeah, practicing it. Mm-hmm. If you don't practice yourself, how would you know that your Creator has this quality? I keep saying that knowledge, knowing that the God is the basic example, the first thing. Knowing that God is the Creator, God is omnipotent, is nothing. What makes it valuable or understandable and real for you, makes it real for you, if you realize that you are created. Then you can understand that the one who gave you existence is the Creator. If you don't realize that you are created, how would you realize that the owner of the universe and acknowledge that he is the Creator? Impossible. You see, the action at the base is very important. But of course, doing the action, which opens up the way to realize that this action, let's go step by step, is giving opportunities given to you by God. And then somebody else said, you are experiencing this quality in you that it is given to you, the sense of taking pity or being merciful to others is from God. That's second. The third stage, so God is the source of all merciful activities. He is merciful. Going through this, but start from here. But before this, you have to practice giving.
I have a question. So, can't it be argued that if I am the recipient of a compassionate act, I am experiencing compassion, and I can come to the conclusion that the act cannot be sourced to that individual, but is given to that person, right? So I can understand that this compassion is being given by an absolute compassionate one, all the while being only a passive recipient of it. I don't, in that situation, would I necessarily have to practice it to fully understand?
Yeah, you are practicing it by receiving. But in this example, I mean, taking the process in a reverse direction, we have to be careful one thing. What we do, look, let's say I am hungry and somebody fed me, okay? And I say, in fact, it didn't feed me. That's the language of the Quran. When you feed someone, it is not you who fed it, but God fed it. That's the وَإِذَا رَمَى إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى application of this example to every action. You know, when you throw something, it wasn't you who threw it, but God threw it. Do you understand this process in the Quran? So you can say, when you feed someone, it is not you who fed it, this person, but it is God who fed it. Right? Okay. Somebody gave me a favor. I said, it is not you, it's God. Come on. Is it right? I don't acknowledge it. What you are not the source of existence. The source of existence of this action is God. Why do you say something? No, it is, let's say you helped me, okay? When you help me, it is your duty to disown it, to understand that God is operating, right? But on the other hand, the recipient, and I have to say that, yes, it is created by God, but this man has a free will. He could have not done it. So he has practiced his free will in order to let God's mercy function. For example, there is an orchard here, and there is a fountain here. Yeah, orchard is created by God. Water and the fountain is created by God. I am the farmer. What I do? Either I let the canal for water get into the orchard or not. I put it, I stop it. Now that is how the creation is. So what happens? The plants in the orchard die. Right? Now, if I let the water go in, they grow. That's how God creates it. So if the plants had the consciousness, they will say, Alhamdulillah, who created the water. Thank you, farmer, you let the water come to us. Do you understand? That's why the Prophet keeps saying that if you don't practice mercy, you will never be treated with mercy by your Creator. Do you understand? So most of the time, the young people, when they come to their age of adolescence, when they hear that everything is created by God, and in fact, our parents have no right to dominate us, order us, because they are just a means. Oh, yeah. The father says, okay, look, I have been working for you for 15 years, man. That's the age, 15, 16. But okay, that's Allah. Creates it. Why do you say? But this is father's attitude, whether I have been doing it with the consciousness of God or not. That's his responsibility. Your responsibility is you are receiving God's mercy through your parents' choice of free will. So because you had, my father, for example, you practiced your free will on the right way, and that's why Allah gave me, like the farmer, let the water go into the orchard. So I thank you for choosing the right way. But ultimately, it is God who created it, but I'm thankful to you as well. This is what that's why you said, if you don't acknowledge the good action of the farmer, you don't really acknowledge that the creator of water deserves to be praised. Because this is the practical side of it. Practically, you have to say, this man, my father, my mother, whatever, is being very gracious to me. Then you can question, what is the source of this sense? Did he make it? He cannot make it. He doesn't know. He found himself to be in this position, to be in the position or status of fatherhood or motherhood. Understand? That's what he doesn't have it. So, of course, I received God's mercy through my mother or father. Example. So recipient's attitude and the giver's attitude follow different processes, but ultimately goes to God, but the relationship with the, if you like, means, vehicles differs. The giver will say, it's not me who's giving. Receiver will say, God's mercy is coming through this person's free will. Connection. This is what I mean, different process. We shouldn't confuse this, inshallah. It's enough. I think we shouldn't hurry. Huh? Next week. Is it okay? Yeah, okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت. وآخر دعواهم الحمد لله رب العالمين بحرمة السر